All right, everyone. So today I wanted to go over 3 different ways that you can go about getting mastery scrolls in Raid Shadow Legends. And depending on where you're at in the game, a different one of these methods might actually be best for you. So let's start off with number 1, and this is going to be the old school method. I think this is going to probably be known as the commonly most accepted method and way that a lot of people go about getting their mastery scrolls. And that is going to be to target farm getting mastery scrolls on a specific champion running through Minotaur's lair. So in order to go about this strategy, what you're going to need is you're going to need one champion that is already max level, max scrolled, and can run through whatever level, Minotaur level you are farming. Obviously, preferably the highest level is going to be best, but if you're not at that point, either way, you're still going to want a champion that is essentially going to be your carry. And then you're going to want your champion that is your targeted champion that you're looking for scrolls on. So just so I can show you guys an example here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do this with a food champion, although I would definitely not do this with a food champion, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So whatever your carry champion might be, in fact, with this strategy, you could even have multiple carry champions. So either if you don't have one champion that is going to be able to run you through whatever Minotaur stage you're farming, you can use 2, you could use 3, you can actually use up to 4 as long as they're all max scrolled. And the reason is because you want to get the scrolls on the champion that you are target farming on. So if I decided to, use my full team here, I wanted to use my Speed Aura champion, Sir Nicholas Seeker, Warlord, that last slot right here, all of these champions already have max mastery scrolls on. So now the last champion that I were to put in this slot right here, because he is the champion that does not have mastery scrolls, he would 100% be guaranteed in order to get them. So you can kind of work around this method however you like to. I know me personally, it's a little bit strange. You would think that in a lot of circumstances, more champions in Minotaur's lair means more power, means running through it quicker. But for some reason, I actually run through it quicker with less champions just because of the way how animations work. So a lot of the times, even when I do this method, I'll only actually use 1 or 2 champions to farm through, and then whatever champion I'm trying to get the scrolls on. But case in point being, you want one champion that does not have max scrolls that you are going to be target farming on. So let's just go through. Again, I'm going to use a food champion as an example here. You obviously don't want to use a food champion, but you'll see because my Sir Nicholas is already maxed out and has max scrolls, it's going to be that Incubus right there that ends up getting the mastery scrolls. Now, another positive to this method, because obviously there are positives and negatives to all 3 of the strategies and methods that I'm going to talk about in this video. Another positive is you are going to actually accumulate a pretty decent amount of silver by getting the max mastery scrolls on a champion running through this method. You're going to end up getting quite a bit, easily over 1 million silver. I believe it works out to close to 1.5 million silver. If the champion that you are farming on is also not max level, I would honestly recommend starting your masteries before you actually fully max out a champion, because you do end up getting a decent amount of experience from Minotaur. Obviously, it's not going to be anywhere even close to the amount of experience that you get from the campaign, but it's still a decent amount regardless. So you're going to get a good accumulation of levels. Of course, a lot of that experience is going to end up going to waste because I'm splitting it essentially with my max level champion, but it's still additional bonuses, so you might as well take advantage of it. So as I finish off this boss right here, you guys will see, me personally, it takes me about 1.5 minutes per run. And as I was talking about, if I use multiple champions, even though it's more power on my team, it seems like it would be quicker. It actually slows down my run because of the way that animations work. But we finish this off here, and you can see a pretty good chunk of experience right there. I would normally end up getting the scrolls on a champion that I would need them on, but I'm just using a food champion as an example, and that's going to be the first method right there. So target farming 1 champion. Now, the second method is actually something that is a bit newer to the game, and this was introduced a couple months ago. And this method is very, very simple, and there are absolutely some advantages and disadvantages to this. And it's quite simply going to be unlocking the scrolls for a champion with gems. You don't actually have to run through Minotaur's lair. You don't even need a champion that is maxed out to be able to farm, because for 800 gems, you can actually go through and fully unlock the mastery scrolls on a champion. So if I go to my Incubus right here, just as an example, we can go to Masteries. we can go right here to get all scrolls, and you'll be able to unlock them all for 800 gems. Now, one of the downsides is if you're partway through some of the mastery scrolls, like if you've already got your basic scrolls and you're halfway through your intermediate scrolls, unfortunately it doesn't lower the cost that it takes to unlock. It's always going to be a flat 800 gems regardless of how many scrolls you already have. But this method is going to be really great for people who are newer to the game, who don't already have a farmer champion, because it takes a while in order to work up to getting a champion that can run you through Minotaur, especially the higher stages. So being able to fully unlock masteries on champions right off the bat, this is going to be a great start and very, very valuable before you start getting your farmers to be able to carry through other champions. Now, in terms of actual efficiency, it is a little bit less efficient than actually using those gems as energy refills to go through and farm the scrolls yourself. I know I have a video from a couple months ago breaking down the exact math in detail, but the cost that it takes to unlock masteries, you're looking at 800 gems, and the cost that it would take in terms of energy to fully unlock the scrolls on a champion, you're looking at around 650 to 700 or so. So it costs about 100 to 150 extra gems, but for the convenience factor, you don't have to spend a whole day running through Minotaur. It saves you that. It's great for newer players. You don't need those champions already maxed out to be able to carry other champions through. There's definitely a lot of advantages and disadvantages to instantly unlocking your scrolls, but it's definitely a viable option out there. And I would say it's going to be the most appealing option to those of you guys who are newer to the game. So that's going to be the second method right there. And now let's talk about the third method. Now, the third method is really going to be for the mid-maxers, for the mid and late game players, and for people who really like to get as much efficiency out of their resources as they possibly can. However, it's going to require a lot of work and planning in order to properly execute this method, and that is max EXP efficiently scroll farming on multiple champions. So with this method, you are going to not only be working on acquiring mastery scrolls for one champion, but you're actually going to be working on acquiring mastery scrolls for multiple champions. Now, in order to go about this method, you're still going to need a maxed out farmer or carry champion, whoever that might be. It's going to be up to you. It kind of depends. You can use more than one, but the fewer carry champions you're going to be able to use with the strategy, the more efficient it's going to be, because you can actually use the strategy to farm mastery scrolls on anywhere from 2 to 4 champions all at the same time. And the advantage to this strategy compared to the first one, where you're target farming mastery scrolls on just one champion at a time, is with this strategy now, you don't have a lot of that experience end up going to waste. So if I go to Minotaur and I go back to stage 15, if I have my maxed out carry champion and then one champion that I'm target farming on, my experience is going to be split among my max level champion and the champion that I'm getting scrolls on. So essentially half that experience goes to my Sir Nicholas, so it's going to waste. However, if I have multiple champions that are all still working on mastery scrolls and are all still working on getting levels, then a lot less of that experience actually ends up going to waste. So now, because I have 5 champions that I'm running through, now instead of half the experience going to waste, only 1/5 of it is going to go to waste on my Sir Nicholas. The other 4/5 of it is all going to end up going to these champions. Now, this is an advanced method. I say this for more mid and late game players because you're going to need to be working on multiple champions that all need mastery scrolls all at the same time. So this is great if you have a backlog of a lot of champions that you're working on. I know this is the case for me, as I always keep adding new stuff to the list. There's so many champions I still need scrolls on, so many champions I'm still working on. I could easily work on 4 champions at a time, but if you don't have the resources or the champions to actually do this, you're probably better off going with one of the other 2 methods that I discussed. But just so I can show you guys as an example, once again, with food champions, I would not use food champions, just so I can show you guys what I'm talking about here. If I go through, you'll see that now each of these champions is going to get a lot less than that 12,000 experience, but a lot less of that experience is going to end up going to waste because I only have one of my champions at max level. So overall, though, this is going to take 4 times as long in order to max out the mastery scrolls on 4 different champions. But once you end up finishing it'll be a big payoff all at once, because you'll be not only unlocking masteries on one champion, but you'll be getting them all at approximately the same time. You know, depending on RNG, depending on how lucky you get, you know, some champions might get more of the mastery scrolls at once than others, but they should all roughly end up finishing off at the same time. You might be, you know, 50 or 100 scrolls apart, a couple of the champions, but then you can just target farm the last couple of champions that you need pretty easily to finish it off. But you're looking at, you know, a huge amount of energy as an investment, and this really is going to be the, you know, more mid-game, late-game strategy for more advanced players who really want to get as much out of their resources as possible, because technically this is the best use of your energy. You're going to be maximizing your mastery scrolls, your silver, and your experience by spreading it across multiple champions and having less of it go to waste. So we're finishing up here, and you guys will see that now, instead of one champion getting about 12 to 13,000 experience, you have 4 champions that are all getting a little bit above 5,000 experience each. So that's a total of about 21,000 experience that I ended up getting, compared to the 12 to 13,000 experience that I got by target farming on one champion. So you could see a pretty big increase in the actual experience that I end up getting. So I wanted to share these methods with you guys. Of course, you know, don't use food champions. That's just kind of to illustrate the examples here. Hopefully, now that you guys have the actual information on these different methods to go about farming mastery scrolls, you might be able to narrow down a method that you didn't know about and farm scrolls better and more efficiently than you were in the past. So not one of these methods is the best or the worst. They're all different. They all have their advantages and disadvantages, but I wanted to get the info out there to you guys so that now that you have it, you can make the decision on what you feel is going to be best for you and your account progress. So with that being said, that's going to end up being it for the video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed. And if you enjoyed this video and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to toss a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, and all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check it out. Almost 200 raid videos in the Raid Shadow Legends playlist on the channel. Plenty of new videos coming out pretty much every day. And until next time, this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.